This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today is March 8th, and this is the Council on Aging Board meeting. We are being recorded, and welcome everyone. It's 4:01 to call the meeting to order. And I don't see anybody from outside our team. Kate is here as our guest again. Welcome, Kate. Open time for the public. I guess I want to speak as a public person for a moment. Last week, we lost a very significant person, volunteer within the Council on Aging, very suddenly, Andrea Sullivan, and I just want to speak, if I can, either on my behalf or the behalf on the board, how sad and such a loss she will be to the senior center. So
yeah, I saw. I didn't realize that was our Andrea.
Yeah, it's our Andrea. So yeah, she's very sudden and unexpected. So,
oh dear.
But then we'll keep Joan and we'll try to make sure everybody's posted if anybody's interested in paying their respects when we get the dates and everything out. So that'll be moving in the near future. So, any other public comments before we get into the meeting?
Just a question about that. I don't know how it has worked in the past when somebody close to the center or volunteer passes. Send flowers in a basket in the name of COA. I don't know if that has happened.
We could discuss that. I mean, that would, we don't have as a board a budget. So, I mean, it's up to what Joan, I think.
Correct. No, I understand.
Or we could pitch in and do something too. So we can, once we get more details, we can make that call.
Just
okay.
Asking.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you for the question, Sylvia. All right. Approval of February minutes. Do we need to take a look? Is everybody good? I think the only thing that I saw, of course, they're here somewhere. That's the director's report. Okay. Well, it was McBain, I think, was spelled incorrectly. It's Cynthia. It's MacBain, M-A-C, Bain, B-A-I-N. So I thought I had the minutes open and now I'm looking for them. And
all right. Well, that's done.
Okay. Jonathan?
I said that's done.
Okay. Thank you. I heard you say something, but I wasn't sure what you said. So any other thoughts from the minutes, or are we good? Anybody want to make a motion then, please?
I'm sorry. Somebody else? I move that we accept the minutes.
Okay, Jim, the second from Sylvia. All in favor, let me run down the list. Sylvia?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Josie?
Yes.
Jonathan?
Yes.
And Janet? Yes. Thank you. Great. Moving right along. Okay, so we have our sort of year-to-date update for where we are for the end of February for our budget. Okay, so I tried to just put the current column in, so because seemed like it was a little bit confusing last time. So this was basically at the end of February, maybe the first day of March, I forget, but so where we should be basically at 8 months in is about 67% of our budget to keep if it's a monthly expenditure. So, Joan, and give or take a few days. So Joan is at 69% of her salary. I mean, it's monthly. It is what it is. Maybe we were a few pay period in. So Sandy, we're still working with that to make sure more comes out of the state formula grant so that we don't run over our town budget for that, right?
Right. We hopefully we corrected that. We lowered her from, I don't know if it was 8 to 7 or 7 to 6. I'll look at that again.
Okay, just to make sure we're tracking that. All right. And any questions on those first two lines? Joan's salary, Sandy's 70% of Sandy's salary that comes from the town funds. And then our expenses, out of our $1,229, we're at 68%. So I think doing a good job at making sure we, spend that down, because I know the state formula grant is very busy, right? So,
Yes, it is.
okay. Any questions on the first town-funded monies? Okay. And again, if I don't see you, because not everybody's on the screen, feel free, if I don't acknowledge you, to speak up, because I don't see everybody on the screen. So, okay. And then the grant funds. So the Highland Valley, so we have up to $39.90 for reimbursement. It looks like to date, they've reimbursed $1608.50. So that leaves us $23.81 and change to spend between now and, I'm assuming, September, right, Joan? So end of
Correct.
September. So do we have anything outstanding, Joan, that hasn't been submitted yet to Highland Valley for payment?
So yes, today is what, the 8th? So yes, we have one more. We have the February Memory Cafe where we'll get approximately $333 for that.
Okay, and you can put that in at any time, right?
It has to be in before the 15th.
Right, so anytime between now and the 15th, so.
Correct.
Okay, so the faster we get our money back, always good, huh? So, and then the state formula grant, it looks like we're at about 50% right now, tracking. So I don't know if you have any big programs coming up that might move that one way or the other, Joan?
Yeah, we may want, now we only have 3 months left. We may want a couple of the board members to kind of concentrate like we did in years past. I'm not sure
We don't
if
need
the
to do that.
carryover.
Yeah, there is carry. So that's the whole thing, is that we don't have to, they give us the money up front. The money is in our hands. We don't have to get reimbursed. It's not a deficit spending. So whatever we
So
don't.
there's no June 30th deadline as
No,
far
I
as you
mean,
understand.
Right, we can carry over. Yes, the thing
Okay.
we don't want to overspend it. That's our key thing. So that's why I was asking if you have any big programs coming up, but we can talk a little bit more about that.
I don't anticipate any big programs. Big, price tag programs or anything, but
Okay, I know I didn't have this with us, Joan, when we sat down, and I'm sorry about that. I just got it from Bradley after our meeting. So that looks good. I mean, again, I think we have pretty much the month of March that's probably not reflected in here. March, April, May, June. So really 4 months left if we count March as well. So,
right. And there is some spending for February for our technology support and a few, 3 or 4 of our other programs. So there will be more for February that should come out of that.
so are those the February warrants are in already for that?
Yes, but I haven't submitted the invoices for tech support for chair yoga, and I think there's 3 or 4.
Okay.
Tai Chi. So there's, and line dancing.
Okay.
So there is a revolving account that the Tai Chi and the line dancing should come out of.
Mhm.
So, anyway, those things have to be rectified. Things that we have to pay for. They do them in the month before, and then I pay them, within a week or 2 of the next month.
Okay. So I mean, we should use that revolving fund, even though it's not reflected the current accurate revenue. We know that it's there from the end of last year. So I would just continue using the revolving fund as it should be used. My suggestion. Okay.
Yes,
Are you there? Are you there, Joan?
I am.
Because I mean, we know it's there. It's just the books haven't caught up with the end of last year. I don't know if the end of last year hasn't closed yet, so it doesn't carry over until that's complete. So, but we know the money is there more than it shows on our current report. So, okay. And the Fritivan right now, this is, based on what we report. I'm not sure how, and you and I probably should sit down with Bradley and see when we get those quarterly reports in and there's extra charges involved. I don't know how he's handling those. So we probably should get clarity before we get any closer to the end of the year. Okay, so, we get the quarterly report and it's always much higher, not much, but higher than what we're tracking because there's,
Right, they changed tires or they did a brake job or they did something that goes towards the grant.
And this number include any gas, any fill-ups and stuff that's already handled locally, correct?
So that comes from the quarterly reports as far as I know.
But if
We submit them, but we don't see a tally till I think quarterly.
Okay, so when Tim buys gasoline, does he use a town credit card or how does he do that?
He has a card that's from Frida.
Okay.
He submits it once a month. We send that to Frida. They keep it on the tally in Frida, and then they only report it to us quarterly. I don't think Bradley's involved with that at all.
Well, he needs to be if it comes out of our $28,000.
Meaning that,
I know
yes,
it's
I understand that part of it, but I'm just thinking that the quarterly report is how he hears about it. I'll find out about that.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's reimbursable, but it's sort of reimbursable from our grant. So, those things that you don't see and we don't submit directly to him.
But accounting should be aware of it.
Yeah, because it's going to come back at the end of the year. Okay. And I wasn't sure, we haven't really spent any of the 50,000. Did we spend it for that one trip? No. Okay. So we're still looking at the outreach worker / coordinator position to be funded, hopefully mostly out of ARPA funds. Okay. Any questions from the group? And feel free to either raise your hand from the bottom of your screen or raise your hand, or if I don't see you, and you have a question, just feel free to speak. Okay.
I just had a statement. You asked when we got the ARPA funds. The picture in the paper was September of 2022.
Yeah. Okay. So that'll be in the annual report right?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Thank you. It's not a true treasurer's report. It's just a reflection of the report that Bradley gives us. So it doesn't I don't believe because it's a different report, we don't have to work through an official approval process. We're just regurgitating what we have in a friendly format. Okay, director's report. So do you want to
Well,
go?
is it okay? Because I did not send out Kate's piece and I apologize, Kate. I don't know how I didn't cut and paste your report, but if I can share Kate's and since she's on, I'll put her on the spot to speak first of what
Sure.
is going on as volunteer coordinator. Do I have permission to share?
You do.
All right, so let's see, share screen. Let's see.
I have her report.
You do? How come you have it and nobody else has it?
COA Program Coordinator Report
That would be the
That's Sandy.
volunteer.
from
That's
Kate
Sandy.
DeSanto. It said
So-
Kate.
Actually, when I looked at it the other day, it looked as if we had Kate's, but we didn't have, because it said Kate did this or that. And then
Sandy's
I thought,
name.
but Sandy's name, yes. And so we didn't have anything for Sandy, I think. That was my first impression when I read it, but
see.
perhaps I'm
Yeah.
wrong. That one,
In the caption
something was
it
missing,
said-
but I thought it was
Let's
Sandy's.
go over Kate since she's here. This is Kate's. You see most of it. But this should be the third page I think the third page of the report I send. Somehow it wasn't, or maybe it's Sandy's is missing. I'm not sure, but this is Kate's, and as Kate is here, I want her to speak to a couple of things that she's been doing. Very exciting things, getting certificates and being part of a Shine training and all kinds of things. So
Let's turn it over to Kate. Hi, Kate. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So unfortunately, I was out of for part of February. So there was 3 out of my, I think 8 days that I should have been working. I was unfortunately out sick, and then we had a snow day. So I was able to attend a variety of meetings, including the board meeting, the Friends meeting, was able to attend the RSVP volunteer engagement meeting. And then also thank you to you, Janet. You forwarded along that the MCOA volunteer training program. I did get my certificate last week, so I'm all set with that. That was a phenomenal program, and it was run out of the Cater Institute from Boston University. So it was really good, and I've started creating templates and doing a bunch of stuff and figuring out how to implement that from the center. And I've started a volunteer brochure to try and hopefully get people involved.
So let me ask you a question, Kate. Is that on your day that you're not working?
That was kind of yes and no. We had the snow day last Tuesday, which was the 28th. I did most of it on that day, to be honest with you. And then was able to finish it when my children weren't home.
Okay, good. I know you've been very generous about some of the classes don't fall on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, that one was a self-guided one, which was great. Okay, so I was able to do that on my own time. So most of it was done that last day of February, which was nice. We did
Kate, I'm just a little confused. So just for the minutes, I want to make sure I follow.
Oh, sure.
What was on February 28th? I see that there was a statewide volunteer coordinators meeting that you attended on February 22nd, but this is something different.
Yeah. So this is something different. So I officially finished it last Friday, but I did the majority of the work of it on February 28th.
So this is the completed MCOE volunteer training series, which is more than halfway down, Jonathan, for your. He's minute taker.
So on here, there's an MCOA volunteer training video series that I ran through, and that was a portion of the larger MCOA volunteer opportunity. So MCOA partnered up with the Cater Institute at Boston University, and they have an entire institute focused on elder services and disability issues and foundations on elder care. And so the volunteer engagement portion was one of their certificate programs that they had under that umbrella at the university. And MCOA allowed us to take that certification program for free. It's usually $75, but they allowed volunteer coordinators from across the state to take that certificate course. So it had a lot of great information in terms of how to engage seniors, how to create a diverse and inclusive environment for your volunteers within your organization. So it was a great learning opportunity for me, especially as we're looking to formalize some of our volunteer processes and getting things in the works. So I think it's good timing as well, because I think at the last meeting, we mentioned the census mailing. And as a part of that, we sent out the volunteered and paid workers forms, and we've gotten over 30 of them back. So as I'm going through all of those and requesting the Corey, the background checks through the Corey website, I'm starting to formalize a lot of what we're doing now so that we can kind of have more of a process and basically just formalize the processes. And there was a lot of templates and great examples as a part of that certificate program. So it's exciting to be able to see how it works in the grand scheme of things. So just looking to get that completed and updated so that it works for our center as opposed to other places. It was very generic. So I appreciated the opportunity, and I've signed up for more courses through them. So I'm excited.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Joan, I have a quick question for you. Speaking of Corey, how often do we get Corey checked as board members?
So I'm not sure if it's a yearly thing. I know Frida, it's a yearly thing. I'd have to check with the town clerk.
Okay. Can you find out if we need to re-Corey us so that we're all up to date?
Because in the last year, you've been very bad.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, anything else, Kate, with this, or you're good?
I think I'm good. There's just been a lot of phone calls. We had a lot of lockbox signups, which Joan had mentioned are going to happen by the end of the month with the police station. And then just let's see, I'm going to squint a little harder than I should right now to look at this. And just updating the databases that we've had, whether it be birthdays or new members, or like the return mails that we've received or the friends updates, just working on the database stuff. So excited for this upcoming month and getting a lot of stuff implemented and in place.
Good.
It was very important, a piece of the Marcus printing, because her family goes to school in Holyoke. So she was able to drop them off. She was able to pick them up. And then Janet helped to get them to the post office because it was a delayed. They closed at 3. there was a snow day. So anyway, it was a process. So I thank everybody involved in getting the Marcus printing
Takes a village, Joan,
out
right?
to the folks. And though we have heard from people that they did not receive it. So we really need to look at that list and see why, a few people did not receive newsletters that live in town.
So do you want to stop sharing this now, Joan?
Yes. Oh, that's me.
Can I just mention one more thing? Joan had mentioned this. So I've applied to do the Shine certification, and the training starts next month. So I got the dates yesterday or the day before, and so I'll be doing that. So hopefully that'll be an additional resource for the senior center.
Good, thank you. So do you want to look at yours too, Joan? Or
yeah, that'd be great because I don't think I printed mine out.
Okay.
So I feel like I'm trying to get a lot of things done at the same time and not doing them as well as I should. But there are like 3 reports due. One is the one for the annual report that they put out with the town that goes to Judy, and the one that and there would be the town administrator's office. So that has to be finalized. I wanted to make sure that the board get to see that before we send it to print. And then the presentation for the select board is next Tuesday. And there's a list of questions that have to be answered. So that report I've been working on, I did share it with Janet and with Sylvia, and I did get some feedback, but I haven't worked on it further. So I need to do that.
We may take a look at it today just real quickly, because I said to Joan, you have to remember everything from January of 2022 to December of 2022. And our brains aren't programmed quite like that with July to June,
So this looks like somebody else's, is this?
No, this is, I think what happened is that we didn't put Kate's name in because I think Kate's information is here maybe.
That's the January information. So usually what happens is I put in my information, I get Sandy's information. And so I never switched her January. So I will correct that tonight or tomorrow, and I'll send you a corrected version with her February. What did I do last month? So again, we're still getting a lot of requests, and since it's just the 3 of us, maybe delivering sand and doing some of those things, did some wellness checks. We, obviously, I don't know. I think even that looks really odd because everything's February. Boy, I worked really, maybe I picked up the wrong one, Joan.
I
sent you the wrong one. So let's not use that one. But anyway, let's see. So the Memory Cafe was well attended. We had 3 couples that filled the appropriateness for caregivers. And it was a story time and a guitar playing, Mark Jackson, who was superb, because even though people didn't care for the original music told a lot of stories. His wife is in a facility with memory issues. So there was a lot of sharing in that respect. And anyway, I felt it was a very good program. Our next program is the 16th, next Thursday, with Richie Mitnick, and I'm sure it'll be a good program as well. And the meals have been good. Let's see. Oh, we went to, did we go to the Majestic? February, the second Tuesday of the month, we went to the Majestic. It was a cultural event. People enjoyed it. We had a full bus. We saw Dan Kane and Fred Marion. People were very happy.
And how was that funded, Joan?
That ended up paying for through the formula grant.
Okay.
They paid for their bus trip there.
Okay.
And
they bought their own tickets? Is that?
We bought the tickets. They're like $27 a piece, and we brought 14 people.
Okay. So that all came out of the formula grant?
And that all came out of the formula grant.
Okay. I wasn't sure how well. I know we were intending.
Well, I know we were looking at bigger buses, and bigger trips that we would take when we would use the ARPA funds. which I haven't negated yet, except that I think the outreach person and their outreach position is really a priority.
Okay, yep, that sounds good. Okay. So upcoming select board presentation. So the annual report is something that Joan just updates every year, so we can, it's again, trying to remember what was in the calendar year versus the fiscal year, right? So do you need to look at that, or are you okay? Do people want to see what Joan has so far? I can do that. Hold on. So we've had some changes since, I think hopefully this is 2.0 or whatever.
Actually, I had some very bad news. So our Shine counselor passed away in January.
Oh, dear.
So she was remote. She was in Connecticut, and we've been giving her number out and her emails. And we started contacting LifePath, which is in Greenfield, and they have their Shine program is out of there. And they notified us just yesterday that Andrea had passed away. So somehow we're out of the loop.
Okay.
So we are looking for new Shine counselor. Obviously, Kate's taking the training, but we can also reach out to LifePath. I'm not sure if RSVP does some of the Shine counseling, but I will reach out to Pat Sicard and see if they have any Shine counselors through RSVP as well.
Okay. And then the second bullet is about the nursing students, which was last year. So this is looking back at last year. All right. So that's good to capture.
That was a major piece. Somebody mentioned, I don't know if it's at the Friends meeting, are we going to do that again, or are they doing that again? And unfortunately, Rini was instrumental in that whole, hosting it in Southampton. And she was the instructor, and she was, and so I heard that they did have nursing students in Southwick this year.
Well, they did explain, I think she explained at one of our meetings that UMass anyway was taking a little bit different direction than they took, and they wanted to go in more facilities versus COAs. So
a clinical setting, maybe.
She had shared that with us previously. So
we were fortunate to have them because there were some really good programs, the safety program, and the triad and all that, which we're going to continue. It's just a matter of actually just yesterday at the Friends meeting, Andrea was was our triad representative. We have a senior representative, and I don't know if Francine told you, but she offered to be the triad rep for us. So
she did mention that.
Yeah. So we're thankful to have that.
Yep.
Okay. The triad's very busy, very busy.
So the senior scoop underneath transportation, I guess, as just confusing to me, but.
So maybe it should be under activities or programming.
Yeah, something. Does anybody else?
Yes.
We had intended, I thought we were going to get an updated version, and I would have sent it out to everybody. So when we didn't, I apologize that you're just seeing this for the first time. It makes it a little tough.
Senior scoop should go under programming.
It should be under something. I mean, I understand that you advertise the transportation in there, but it has nothing to do with transportation after that. So.
Okay, good suggestion.
Anybody else have anything they want to put under transportation? I mean, the only thing maybe is probably our greatest need, to really emphasize that it is the greatest need of our
greatest service. Yeah.
Our greatest service and one of the greatest needs for town seniors. So, okay. Exercise equipment, that's pretty cut and dry. And then, and programs. So, I mean, there's a lot of programs, right, that you do so I just want to make sure. I'm not sure we're doing it 2 times a week, Joan. Last year, I think we just ended up doing it on Thursdays.
What is it?
The pickleball was just on Thursday mornings. So.
Okay.
Okay.
So change that. You did it twice in the day, though. You had a beginners in the morning and a beginners in the afternoon and a intermediate at 5. So you did do
Well,
it
it
twice,
really-
but it was,
Yeah, it really wasn't that group. So we'll talk about it next year, but you can leave it twice there for now. I did capture,
you're right, because it was more like 3 times the year before because you had it on Sundays as well.
right, we dropped Sunday. So I guess 2 is accurate. Okay. So I don't want to tie everybody up here. So, anything under activities that we should add? Because I think things like the tech needs to be added in some of the newer programs. I mean, you have the technology for seniors class and one-on-ones, and what else do we have that's not in here?
You mentioned Mahjong.
Yeah, Mahjong. I mean, what are some of the new, what did we add new last year's? I don't know. I don't
We
know.
have a kindness awareness group or kindness group that meets on Mondays. We have our Spanish classes back. Is that in there? I don't know.
I don't think so. So make sure
Okay.
you have
So
Healthy
make sure-
Bones, the Walking Club, Healthy Bones, Tai Chi, line dancing, chair yoga, but not the Tai Chi and not
All right,
the,
so Spanish class, Mahjong, what did you, there was the kindness awareness group.
okay.
Yeah, I'll look at the calendar. I'll see
Okay.
what we had.
Did you mention Shakespeare?
That's this year, Jim.
Oh, okay.
That's why this is so confusing for me.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
it ended in December. It's a calendar year, so it gets to me confusing, but
All right.
it doesn't take much. So you do have activities Mahjong down here.
All right, I'll try and put the program activities together.
Okay. Yeah, if we're missing anything, anybody else, feel free to speak up. So isn't there an arts class or something that you did last year?
Art class, right. It went from probably February to May.
Okay, so but
And Andrew was part of that. So I've forgotten that. Some people are still just finding out.
yeah, so
He was a
just
big
mention
part of
add that in. Yep. Okay. Anything else that you guys see? So future plans. So beginning April it was formed. Okay. Okay. All right. I mean, I don't know if you want to mention, I'd see in a report that that's a whole nother committee. So I think this is fine. Yep. Okay. Anything else anybody else would like to add in there for last calendar year? Okay. Thanks, Joan. All right. So then the other one is the presentation. So Tuesday, the 14th, Joan and I will probably do a joint presentation to the select board, mostly Joan, but I usually participate as well. Let me just come back to share that document. And again, I apologize. They didn't get to you. I misunderstood that. I thought I was getting a new version. So these are things that sort of, Joan's time in front of the select board to talk about the value of the senior center and, the great programming we have and some of the limitations that we have. And I just want to make sure I've asked Joan to, as part of it is your chance to speak about the budget request that you have, which is to expand the hours from 26 to 32 or somewhere in between. So it is at least open the same hours as the other departments in town hall. Joan will tell you there's many a night that she's there way beyond 3. And so there is a need for it. And there's also a need for people that maybe like classes later on in the day versus always kind of first thing in the morning. So, but if there's anything that you feel, but I do want to emphasize the hours and why Joan believes that's an important aspect. So the last thing is we're working from last year's budget of 14. So that's a little bit misleading right here. So in July, that increased to 2412, right? The state formula grant.
So actually, the first half of the year till June
Yes.
30th, it was that. And then so it should be probably stated that we did get an increase due to the 2020 census.
Correct.
And you had that number. What is it we're getting now? 24 something or other?
24,012.
Thank you.
Because we have 2,001 seniors, according to the Donahue, I think, statistics. I think it was the Donahue. And because they're still working through, I think, sorting out everything on the state was for how many seniors per community. So I don't know, what other programs you want to put that are funded through the state formula grant, expand maybe that a little bit. And so the technology consultant program is no longer supported by CARES, right? It was for the first half, but it transitioned after the CARES funds ended in June, right, of last year?
That's right. And I'll have to total that. That's not it's an expensive program, but it's a worthwhile program. We have the extra money too.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good.
And there's going to be a group meeting on the 20th. So she has room for 10 people. I'll have to.
Yeah, we'll talk about that after this. Okay. When you update stuff. Okay. Frida, and again, make sure this care stuff was only for the first 6 months. And just maybe explain that funding finished in June or something. Anybody else, feel free to pop in if you see something that. So this first sentence here, well, I guess, so Sandy was hired when?
I think it was June 16th or June 20th of 2023.
Yeah, so it needs to be included that we have a new program coordinator for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It started in June. And it's being funded by the town as well as by the state formula grant, correct? Not the Frida, not the Highland Valley grant. So this
right. All that has to be changed. This was last year. It must be mostly last year's report. I apologize.
Yep. Okay. Anything else anybody else has? I can sit down and go. We don't have to go through this whole thing. I just wanted input from the group to see what else they wanted to make sure when Joan gets in front of the select board that she hasn't missed anything and missed an opportunity that you guys would consider. So long-term issues. So okay. We can talk about that a little.
Housing is really, that happened today. We had somebody come in to ask about housing, and that's really key next to transportation. I mean, we do give out HAP housing applications, but it may place them in Westfield or Easthampton or someplace else.
So you can't put the one just specifically for the Southampton location?
It doesn't always work that way. Usually it's where there's an opening.
Okay. So you and I will sit a little bit more before, because I think this has to go into Ed tomorrow sometime.
Well, he did say Monday, but I'd like to get it in tomorrow.
Okay. Any other long-term issues? I mean, certainly the size of the center. I mean, we went through a lot of long-term issues during the feasibility process. So I would try to pull some of those things out as well.
That we could do.
And are they looking for affordable senior housing? Or are they looking for just a senior community?
Affordable.
Yeah. So if you want to add affordable senior housing is needed, or both. So. All right. But I think we need to, talk about some of the shortcomings of the current center when you're in front of the select board. Would be my.
And we have a whole page of that. We have a whole list from that.
Anything else that people think that we've missed, that any major faux pas or anything that are missing? Nope. Okay. Sorry again that you didn't get this in advance. It would have been helpful. Okay. What else do we have, Joan? So April 20th? You said was you're going to have a sign up for a tech support thing?
It's actually March 20th.
March 20th. Oh, okay.
What is that, Joan?
So right now we have technology. We have 4 slots open, three to 4 slots on Monday afternoons at 1:30. I believe it was Janet that suggested that we have a group of people that have questions. And so I talked to Megan. She said that we could, have, I mentioned 10, but I'm sure, a group that could come in and just ask questions of her. So on March 20th, and I don't know how to advertise it more unless I get it on Facebook or wherever.
Yeah, I'm concerned that that's almost too soon, Joan, that we haven't had a chance. I mean, the April newsletter's coming out. Is there just no time in April or?
Well, we could do it another Monday. It doesn't have to be that Monday.
So does this have to be in replace of her current thing or in addition to?
I would just off the top of my head, I would really like to see it move to a more future date like April. Because,
that'll be fine. I'll just let her know that, and then we can publicize it more too.
But from my informal contacts with various people my age, there's a big need for seniors to be updated in, little things like when should if I get something on my screen that tells me to update, should I do it? How do I recognize a phishing thing? Things like that.
I think it would be better rather than just an open-ended session, kind of like Jim is saying, pick a topic that we know is from this group, I think can probably fill in a lot of topics. Whether it's changing your password, why do I have to change my password? Whether it's malware and somebody's, why is my Facebook page appearing somewhere else with my picture on it? And Jim doesn't care about that. But you'll find, people are doing some crazy things. And so I'd like to, my thought was to give her a topic, and maybe this group can think of a topic and have it open. And she maybe does a little presentation versus, just have a 10-on-1 kind of open-ended. That was my vision, but.
And I would agree with that, but with her level of expertise, I think maybe if she even designed the program.
Oh, yeah. We would give her.
And then, because, I at one level, but other people in my Spanish class, for example, are really not comfortable doing a lot of the things that can be done on the internet in terms of not knowing how to do it or, things like that. But because I had suggested that we actually have classes where everybody could bring in their laptop and go from A to Z and about what's new about technology. For example, I can't file anything in my laptop because it just drives me crazy.
So you don't
have you gone to take one class with her? Did you?
That seems like a one-on-one question too, Jim. So
yeah.
Plus, they're very short though. It's only like 20 minutes or half an hour.
Yeah. Well, when I was with the government, they used to send us to classes, and and I'm sure that Megan, right, is her name, would be familiar with those kinds of classes to give you a general overview of, what's happened since you retired with technology.
It's going to vary a lot person to, so, we can talk a little bit more about it. Sylvia, I know you've been really trying to pipe
How about starting the very first class with a survey that she offered, who knows what to do this? Who knows, what are their needs? Asking them the very first day, and then that's going to be her schedule for the following classes.
But I think we're starting with one class to begin with, so we need a subject for the first class.
There are a couple very rare instances, really, where I think we've launched programs without knowing what we were going to do. And I think that's too bad because the ideas were great. And if the program was good from the get-go, I think we would have had a more favorable reaction from our clients. So I would like to involve Megan in developing an agenda or a program or a syllabus of
A
what
curriculum.
well, not only that, but she's been dealing with us and she knows what problems are most prevalent. And leave it to her to come up with a syllabus either for the meeting or one or a series of classes. And let's consider that.
Yeah, so we have to determine first if she's going to have enough free time to do this in an ongoing basis, like on a monthly basis or not.
Yeah,
And-
but even if it's just one meeting, that could be discussed with her, you know?
So I know, I don't mean to use this nasty word again, Facebook, but she posts a lot of stuff on Facebook that says, do you know, and what made me think of passwords, you know, why should you change some basic things to protect themselves are us, me, all of us. And those are ideas she puts out on Facebook. So I'm stealing her ideas already. So I think spending a little time with her and determining what she has, like you said, seen in the class, that's really kind of important. I don't know. I think it's a lot to ask her to create a whole syllabus curriculum type of thing. That's a whole, we can talk to her about that. I'm not sure that's what she's signing up for, but let's try it once and see how it goes and we'll get her input on it. Not
because I'm old enough to be crotchety. I also don't approve really of a municipality requiring citizens to go on Facebook where they're compromising their confidentiality.
Nobody's encouraging that, Jim. Nobody's encouraging that.
Well, I mean, they are. You're saying that she has posted stuff on Facebook
for the public, her personal Facebook page to the public. Yes.
And all I'm saying is we shouldn't be directing, in my view,
I'm not suggesting that.
Okay.
So if you misunderstood that, that's not what I'm just saying. She gave me some ideas.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that we encourage people to check it out on Facebook at all.
And if we already know that she knows the needs of the clientele, based on that, target that. And for folks, you know, I understand what you're saying about Facebook. There's people our age that are on Facebook, and a lot of them don't know how to maneuver certain things for their own safety. So it's good that she's helping them with that.
But as you said, Sylvia, everybody comes to the table with a different knowledge, you know, and different abilities with computers, depending on if you, like Jim used them at work or, you know, so different people have. So the survey of where you're at, I understand, like, you know, and everybody's just want general knowledge, but may have questions. So my idea was just to invite people if you had questions.
I think it needs to be more defined, Joan, personally, than, and in fairness to Megan. Jonathan, I know you've had your hand up a couple times, so.
Yeah, so what Megan is spelled with an H or without an H?
Megan.
And what's her last name?
Gentile, Gentile.
Tile. Okay, and is
correct.
And is she? She's the one who comes. She's the tech assistant who comes in every now and then.
Yeah, tech.
What do you refer to her as, Joan?
Tech support is what we use in the technology support.
All right,
I don't know what.
And whatever we end up doing with her for more than one-on-one, we're talking about it being an open session or people signing up or to be determined?
You'd have to sign up. So I just threw out the number 10, but you know, right now she does a one-on-one with 3 or 4 people. So she would be willing to have an hour and a half session with up to 10 people that we could, you know, so people could hear other people's questions as well.
Yeah. And I'm sure if you asked her what is the most common problems that people are coming to her with, that she'd know right off the top of her head and could put together a list of topics to be covered. You know, I think she should be determining what's in the program because, if you just leave it up to questions from people, very often, myself excluded, people just talk and talk and talk, and people who have other interests are not given an opportunity to speak. So at least to get started, I think there should be some kind of a format, and we should have a pretty good grip on what's going to happen at that class, in my opinion.
That makes sense because it has happened in other classes. I agree, Jim. It's good to have a topic.
Yeah.
So it could be passwords. It could be what's the latest. What is the latest?
Let's let Megan figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll reach out to her. I did mention the 20th. If you think it should be in April, we could move it to April 10th or April 24th. So we have time to talk, to get a list together.
And I think we need time to put it in the scoop and advertise it. And give people time to sign up.
We're down to about 8 pages in the scoop. So we're getting to more limited spaces, but I think you're right. There's got to be other ways to advertise than just the scoop.
And can I say that we don't need the COA board listed in there? If you need space, take us out.
Take out the board, huh?
So Josie has gently used the correct reaction button. So Josie, you're up.
All right. And just what this is going to be an in-person type of meeting, right?
Correct.
Not Zoom.
Correct.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
About advertising or letting people know, have we used in the past the TV channel? Use Easthampton Media?
191. Yeah, I think we have put it up on Easthampton Media, Joan, right, in the past, I think.
I have not. I'm not sure how. I mean,
but you need to let them know it's there because I don't know that people sit around to see what's there. So if it's going to, I think it's kind of I don't know. It'd be interesting to talk to the community of seniors and say how many people. I mean, there's not like this is going to be at this time. You just have to kind of catch it. So I'm not sure. I mean, we have a large email list. If we're doing something really special, send out a postcard or a letter. I mean, there's ways I think to reach folks. I'm not putting down 191. I think it was great that we had the feasibility thing up there, the community meeting, because a lot of people watched it since that night. So, but I don't know that if you just have an ad up there, I mean, it doesn't hurt, but I'm not sure we're going to.
It could be repeated. It could be a filler, like a PSA, and we
I
just
don't know how many people. Do you stand and watch 191 for PSAs? I don't, but I'm one person out of the 2,000 seniors in town. So
I don't.
I usually tune in for a specific purpose to watch a board meeting or something like that.
Well, then it could be targeted if we know that folks, watch the select board before and after.
We have members of the select board hold up placards
across the board. But yeah, we can use different. I think a lot of times the email works effectively to the group. I mean, we need to collect more and more emails, I think. But I think to me, it's as long as we don't bounce them all back, right, Joan, that sending out, in the body of the email, because attachments don't always work so well. So,
true.
All right. So anything else? All good discussion about how we can utilize Megan's skill and knowledge. And she's very good. I find her to be, she's my tech support at home person. So I find her very helpful, way smarter than me. So the next, Joan, Highland Valley is coming in on Monday, right, at 9:00. Do you want to just mention?
So Kelly, who is part of the grant program, she will be just coming in to ask questions about, I think a lot about the facility and how we facilitate the Memory Cafe. So yes, 9:00 on Monday.
So if I could encourage you to get that because we had 4 members at the last cafe. So we
the billing done.
Doubled from 2 to 4. If you could get the billing in, so she at least sees what happened in February. If it's, I know, adding one more thing.
It
John's
shouldn't,
like,
no, but it shouldn't take me long because it's only
Okay.
6 names.
yes, okay, great. And also the grant expires this year, so the new one will be coming out in late March. So we'll be working hopefully with the grant committee to come up with modifications, I think, on that application. Or come up with another idea. We'll maybe talk to Kelly a little bit about that on Monday as well. Okay, give her thoughts to us. So. All right, and van driver search and the outreach worker coordinator person.
So we'll address the van driver first. No applications have come through. Sandy did find a free site for Pioneer Valley jobs. So we plan to put that out there.
Great.
And that was a week ago, so hopefully we can get it in tomorrow. We're doing okay. We're finding people that are taking the trips that aren't on Wednesdays and Fridays, or we're having people switch their days to Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday. So far we're doing okay. I know, again, Janet helped us to get somebody there to an appointment and back. So we do appreciate, we have that service list that Kate's been working hard on to get, people the services they need. We did look into, cabs and things. They're extraordinary. They're $20 to $40 each way. So it's really not
Always have a van, right?
for our seniors, not affordable.
Yeah.
The outreach, we had Josie and Jim work very diligently. They came in, met, and worked to get the outreach job description together so we can have it for the PPPB meeting next week. I appreciate all your hard work.
Thank you both. Yes, your expertise.
And Josie, I'm amazed what you've done during the meeting with your garden.
No, it's amazing,
really,
isn't it?
It's really blossoming. Yes.
You teach me how to do that. That's special. Yeah, it's lovely. Actually brings me up a good point. Our next trip is to the flowers show on Monday, and we have 4 seats left
Okay.
at
So
Mount Holyoke.
And
I
the
need some-
outdoor- Go ahead, Jonathan. I'm sorry.
I need some things for the minutes. So on the outreach worker, so what has been done? Working on the job description?
Right. The first thing that had to be done is we needed a job description. So they took what we got from Easthampton, and they worked very hard to put together one. And it has to be, we have to review it one more time before it gets submitted to PPPB, the Policy and Procedure Board,
Personnel.
for
policy.
scoring. It needs to be scored so that we know how much we can pay them.
And then we can recruit and then we can hire. So but this is
All
the
right.
first big step because the job doesn't exist here in town yet. So
Okay, so you're talking about it. It's going to be another draft. It's you have a draft of it and you're going to complete it for submission. Is that it?
Right. And their next meeting is next Thursday. So it has to be submitted. I don't know if they have a timeline, if it has to be 24 hours, 48 hours.
Yep.
So the same day as the select board presentation, the outreach job description has to be submitted to the PPPB. So
Joan, I think I hear you saying you'd like us in the next few hours to hire a clone for you for the next week.
no, I just forgive me when I'm not quite as prepared as I should be, trying to juggle a few things. But anyway, I'll be there at all the meetings, and I'll be as professional as I can and make sure that we get what we needed submitted. It may not be exactly on time, but it will be submitted.
Good. And make sure just run that job description by Ed right before it goes to the personnel.
Okay.
As your true supervisor.
And I got a question going back to the van driver search as to where it is right now. It's ongoing for the 2 positions. That's the bottom line.
That's right.
And I just want to welcome Caitlin. Hi, Caitlin.
Welcome.
Caitlin had responded on the Southampton community page to Kate Swistack Rook's comment about, oh, that sounds great. I'd love to learn how to volunteer. So I said, guess what? We're having a meeting next week. So please feel free to join us and see what the COA is about. And there's a lot of opportunities to volunteer in town. So thank you for coming, Caitlin. We've never met. So thank you for joining us. She does work till 5:00, right? You said? So she said she'd be on at 5 and there she is. Excellent. Okay. The one other thing that I brought up to Joan, and I just kind of want your feedback from the group, is that, we always, Joan, you've heard Joan say a couple times, people don't really read the newsletter that much. Not everybody. I mean, we probably do, but you get out of a core group of folks and maybe not everybody reads it or comes in to get it. So we used to have health fairs where we have vendors come in and talk to everybody about their goods and their services. So I was thinking about what's new at the senior center, and we would get all the instructors to set up tables. So if somebody wants to know more about Tai Chi, or somebody wants to know what the new exercise class is about, or what's healthy bones and what's chair yoga, that we give people a chance to come in and, kind of break through the initial barrier of what's it about? What's the walking club? Where do they meet? Where do you walk? Some questions that people might want to ask. So that was sort of, I threw at Joan, right, Joan?
It's a great idea. We talked about it at our planning meeting, and I shared it with Kate. And we had initially picked a Tuesday in May, and it conflicts with the Shine training. So I was going to move later in May, but I think a Tuesday after Healthy Bones will, yes, we're going to have an opportunity, and it could be Tai Chi demonstration. It could be a line dance demonstration, or it could be, it'll be an offering of whatever there is available for the folks through the senior center and the Council on Aging. I think it's a great idea because I think people don't really know what we do, what we're all about.
So any thoughts or comments from you guys on that?
I think it's a great idea.
Good idea, yeah. I nominate Sylvia to represent the Spanish class.
That's not fair.
And that shows how great Tony is. What a great.
We're not quite up to your level yet, Sylvia.
That's funny. So look forward to that. Yes.
Could it be earlier? Everybody gets busier come summer. Is there not enough time to do that is it too soon to do that in April? Before people really get geared up and their schedules are full?
We can look at April.
I know, I'd like to see what other people say too, in terms of, I feel like, people still have to, there's snow on the ground, right? We're not.
So I know you're part of the Green Thumb gardening group, and you'll be out in the garden. Never mind.
Right, yeah, that'll be the end of me. But I'm just curious to know if anybody has a feeling about when we get the biggest numbers in terms of something like that. I think it's a great idea.
I can see if we can push it up into April.
I would do late April just because if we can have some things outside in the parking lot, and some things inside.
Yeah, that would be good.
That I think was part of the deal. So.
All right. So I'll look at the calendar. It hasn't gone out yet. It's in process. So, but does Tuesday morning work for people, or is it not so good? We can look at a different time. We happen to have the cornhole didn't pan out, so we've got a slot.
Okay, but we could start that up again in the summer too,
Outside, right?
Yes, yeah. Tuesday mornings are good for me. I don't know about everybody else.
Good for me.
Well, I have something, but I can change it.
Depending on what Tuesday you have, everything every Tuesday, Josie. Yeah.
Usually, but that's a subject to change type thing.
We could possibly use a Thursday if we used it an early Thursday, like the first Thursday or something like that. I better see when our 2-hour meetings are. It won't be the same day as the 2-hour meetings.
Yeah. Our feasibility committee meetings. Yeah. And you're looking at April, though. You're thinking about April. I mean, late April.
It certainly could be. Now that I've moved Megan to April, so I got to find out. She's a Monday.
Yep.
And then we're having a Mad Hatter tea the end of April. Get our tea party in. And so, yes, well, we can look at what are we going to call it? Something of what's happening at the senior center or something?
Yeah, I just said, what's new at the senior center?
What's new at the senior center?
What do they do there? Now, I'm open to suggestions. I just thought, we let other people come in and talk about, you can go from table to table to table and kind of learn about what's happening. And I think the most important thing is to make sure most of your instructors are available, Joan.
Yeah.
Oh, you put it.
We can't do that without the instructors and who they're going to interface with. And so if you can kind of email that group and see if there's a time that's best. I mean, may not get 100%, but we could get somebody, a participant, to talk about something if the instructor's not there. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. As long as I don't have to pay the instructor to be there.
Well, it's recruiting,
yeah.
so they're hopefully they'll get benefit from it from the long run. So anything else, Joan? So if you have any clever names, feel free to share them and let Joan know. I know Kate can come up with a better name than I've come up with. So anything else on your report, Joan, that I've missed to report on?
It's hard reporting on the month before because so much happens, but no, I know we want to talk about the rest of the stuff on the agenda. So I'm fine. I'm sure something will come up.
Okay. So yeah, Jim, I'm sorry you have to leave. Yeah, we usually run an hour and a half or so. So
yeah, we have a rehearsal at 6:30 and Anita just told me she's got dinner ready. So
okay. I'll be over.
There's some things I'm brave about, but
Well, before you leave, let's talk about our new member recommendation. I did attach this. I put Cynthia's both her cover letter and her information to everybody. And she also has a meeting on the second Wednesday of the month. So she wasn't able to come today. She may pipe in later, but we don't have to wait for her to be here to make a decision. She would like to probably fill in for Jonathan's position. She said she'd like to try the shorter term first and to make sure that, she doesn't know where she'll be in a year and a half or whatever. So that'll work. I'll let Ed know that, but we would need a motion to accept Cynthia's.
I would move that we welcome Cynthia. I think she'd be an outstanding addition to us.
Okay, great. Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a tie between Josie and Sylvia. So, but Josie's was verbal, so I guess we have to take that on Zoom. So,
Could I just have a clarification?
Yes.
So Jonathan's position, when does it negate? When is his?
It expires in June of next year, 2024.
So we have a vacant position also, Nancy's. When does that?
Well, so we're still recruiting for someone to fill that slot, right?
That expires in 25.
Yeah.
And mine expires in this year.
Yeah, but you're still in it till the end.
That's too short. We don't want her to join and then leave.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
but I keep,
No. We'll find.
I just wanted to clarify. I wasn't sure if Nancy's was before that or not, but anyway.
Oh, Nancy just re-upped in June.
Oh,
at the end of
okay.
July
Thank you.
1st. So,
Thank you.
So yeah, so this is the shorter of the two. And I talked to her and she was more comfortable. She says at my age, I don't know where I'm going to be in a year. So hopefully back on signing up for another term. So, so any further discussion on recommending to the select board the appointment of Cynthia McBain? No other discussion. Let me do a roll call, please. Sylvia, in favor.
In favor.
Okay, Susan.
Yes, in favor.
Jim,
In favor.
Josie,
In favor.
Jonathan,
In favor.
sorry to lose you. Janet, in favor. Jonathan and I talked a little bit, and I appreciate, I know you kept pushing your resignation off a month and off a month. So we appreciate you hanging in there with us till Cynthia kind of came up, and she is having a new class. She's doing the Shakespeare thing at the library, right? And she's trying to start like an exercise class on Thursday morning. So that's why when we have new classes like that, it takes more exposure than appearing in the newsletter, I think, to encourage people to come in. So hopefully she's available when we have our little what's new at the senior center thing. But thank you all. And again, Jonathan, thank you for your service as well. Okay. If she pops in, we'll let her know, but she is available the first Wednesdays, and I will let Ed know that it would be to replace Jonathan's term. Okay. All right. So the other thing that comes up now that Joan is retiring is that we need a representative to the Highland Valley Board. She has been kind enough to do that for the last 2 years.
3, but it's all been on Zoom, believe it or not, just about.
Okay, Cynthia's just coming in now, so let me just welcome her in. So you want to talk a little bit about what that entails, Joan?
Sure. So the Highland Valley meets the first Monday of the month from 2 to 4. As I stated, they have been meeting on Zoom. They're located in Florence, and at some point they may resume in-person meetings. So a Southampton representative, we'd like to bring forth what's happening in our town. We'd like to be aware of, how, what the administration, what the services of Highland Valley are, and how that affects our citizens in our town. And just to be abreast of what's going on in the elder services. It's good to be present, have somebody that's present and hearing the same thing. They do a annual report. They're 100 people strong, and plus another, I don't know how many volunteers. So they have a huge organization. And
are there other directors that participate, or are they mostly?
So you're not allowed to be on the board if you're a full-time director. And I understand why that is, because it does take a lot of your time. Being a part-time director, they did allow me to, but it's still, I think, besides the 2-hour meetings, they like you to be on another committee, which could be an hour or 2 a month. So there's about 4 hours a month that you should be committed to Highland Valley and to, to attending meetings. And so, my recommendation would be to have somebody from the board step up to that position, or somebody from the town that's not on the board that knows senior issues. So maybe it's difficult to, I don't have a recommendation at this time.
We want somebody that also advocates for seniors, but also is free to attend their meetings and participate in their projects. And that relationship with Highland Valley, who is our support arm, they deliver Meals on Wheels to Southampton residents. There's a lot of things that they provide that we want to make sure we take advantage of. So I'm not asking for anybody to step up right this minute. I'll wait till the end of the meeting. No, but just to think about it, and we're going to need to come up with a representative from Southampton. It doesn't have to be on the board, but somebody that's very familiar. It could be somebody that is in the senior center a lot, somebody on the Friends, but just somebody that really represents Southampton.
What days and at what time are those meetings?
2 to 4 on first Monday of the month.
So it's once a month, 2 to 4, unless there's a subcommittee of some sort.
I know Kate did ask me about it. I'm not sure if she asked me because she was interested or just, as a consideration. Because I know she's taken on a lot of new things, but she does work 10 hours a week. So, she has an interest in the seniors. But anyway, there might be one of the considerations.
So are they typically members of COA boards?
So Easthampton has a board member on, Westfield has a board member on. South Hadley had a board member. But it's not necessary. I don't know about, I don't know everybody that's been on board. And some of the towns are not representative, which is really sad.
Yeah, which we don't want to fall into. So, okay, but everybody, that's something I know Joan sent me a message weeks ago and said, we need to talk about this. So I just thank you for prompting me to put it on the agenda, and we'll continue. If anybody's interested, let me know. If you know of anybody that might be interested, please let me know. And I just want to welcome Cynthia. Hi, Cynthia. Thank you for joining us for your back-to-back meetings.
Yeah.
And I just want to also mention, Cynthia, that we voted to recommend you to the select board. So, so welcome from our perspective. It'd be very unusual for them to turn down our recommendation, although there have been those moments, but I don't think this is one of those. So probably Tuesday night, if you're available, I'll talk to you after I talk to Ed and let him know. So the term would be to fill Jonathan's position that's being vacated on Friday. Doesn't mean you have to be the clerk, though. So that's, we wouldn't do that. That's not a first year position, Cynthia. So you're safe. And I think Jim's going to fill until the end of his term.
It's a very rigorous training process, Cynthia.
Well, for somebody who's new and doesn't know names, what I'm finding with the other group that I'm trying to take notes with, they make reference to people who I don't know who they are, So I don't want to do that again.
Jonathan's very good at stopping the progress and just say, I need to clarify this, because Jim did the same thing when he was the clerk. I mean, you really want to make sure you get it correct. And Joan can always, fill in your spare time by sending you the video after the meeting's over, right, Joan? So, but usually it's sufficient. It's just capturing kind of the concepts, not necessarily every single detail. So, but anyway, we wouldn't do that to you your first year.
Thank you.
All right. So welcome, Cynthia, and we'll be official come April, I'm sure. So if you can come to the select board meeting, I'll let you know. So if you want to, I know they have your application and everything. So, all right. So moving right along here, a biggie. Oh, let me see, feasibility committee and comments on the community meeting. So I think everybody either was there or watched it. So you're kind of up to date where we are at this moment. We have a meeting tomorrow. We will probably talk more closely about asking the select board if our town administrator can reach out to a couple of the top landowners to have discussions about cost and location to confirm things, so we can start that process and get a better sense of that. We'll probably vote, hopefully, to approve some soil tests and a little bit more expenditures to make sure that properties that we do like really have no issues with septic. If we want to have a commercial kitchen, we want to confirm that sooner than later. So those are probably a couple things we'll talk about tomorrow. So comments on the community meeting. Anybody we don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but certainly give you all a chance to. I thought the feedback from the audience was amazing. I mean, Jim Sini can paint a picture and tell a story like nobody's business. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense, Jim. So
That was good.
Anybody else? And
I thought it was an excellent meeting. I'll never go to a better meeting. It's just such a consensus building. That's what was really incredible about it.
Yeah,
There were so many incredible things about it, but you could just see the room coming together and those pieces sort of being added, to the whole.
And it's I went onto the YouTube page the other day, and there are about 125 people that have actually watched it on YouTube. I think that night there are close to 50 people watching it on YouTube.
Okay.
But since then we've had almost, 75 more people. And I didn't look today, but I probably will look tomorrow before to see how many people have actually. So it's great that it's out there and people can continue to see it. So we want to be transparent and make sure everyone gets a chance to see where we are on our progress report. Okay. Director search process. So I've talked a little bit with both Ed and Chris Fowles, the chair of the select board, that, you know, they're putting together a committee, a search committee for the fire replacement of the fire chief, and to try to determine what the best arrangement is. And so we need to do the same thing. So I was just curious. I mean, it's not up to it doesn't fall under us, but we certainly want to be involved, at least a couple of us on that particular search committee. Anybody else that you might think would be critical to be on the search committee, anybody from town, I would certainly encourage them to include Rini as part of the select board rep until her term is up in May. Any other, by definition, you know, people that you think not by name, but by definition should be included in the process?
I saw you reached out to MCOA, which I thought was a good move because they have directors being hired all over the state.
Yeah, I didn't get a lot of back. She just said, make sure the board's represented. So that was her biggest thing. But we need to get input from other groups other than us and the select board. And I'm just wondering if you guys have any thoughts on who else should be, how do we make up this search committee? I'm sure Ed will be involved as an ex officio, like he is for the fire chief. And like I said, I hope to be involved. I think Flo at one point asked if she could be involved. I don't know if she still feels that way. She might deny she ever said that. So former employee maybe of the group, or do we need the accountant on board? Do we need, somebody? We need to have a really good search committee. So any thoughts from this group?
How many we have a representative from the Friends?
I think there'll be somebody, whether it's an active person or, in the center, someone that's active in the center as well. And I don't know, we haven't defined the charge. So whether we have 5 or 7 people on it, I think that's, probably work. Is there any feeling about a good number? So
in the past, for Joan's hiring, who participated, how many people?
So in the past, when we hired Joan reported to the COA board. So the COA board did it all. And, I think it's good now that Joan reports to the town and the select board and the town administrator and, takes good direction from her COA board. We certainly want to get buy-in from other groups as well within town. So before, so it was nobody but the COA board in the past.
So did you say Bradley?
I just throwing out thoughts. I don't know.
Because I think it would be a good idea to have somebody from accounting or finance or something like that.
Okay. So either a finance committee or an accountant person. Mm-hmm. You agree with, we certainly need a select board person because that's who she ends up, or she or he ends up going to. So,
mm-hmm.
So select board rep, administrator, COA board, Friends or former employee. Jonathan, yep.
Yeah, I think you need 2 members from the board. I assume that you would be one of them, but I think you need somebody else as well.
Yep. Okay.
So 2.
A minimum of 2.
And from the Friends, I I think it's a mistake not to have someone who regularly comes to their meetings. So, to their monthly meetings,
Okay.
not just one of the 250 people in town who are her friends.
Yeah, I agree. So it's either, and I'm going to make an assumption that most of the folks that come to the center are members of Friends, right? They really utilize the center. Is that a fair statement, Joan, or?
I'm not 100% sure about that,
Okay.
because it was mentioned that some people just sign up for the newsletter and don't become members.
Okay.
So,
But I mean, that's the newsletter, but
I would
people
say,
are
yeah.
pretty, that
But if
come-
you took a Friends board member, you're definitely somebody who goes to the meetings.
Yeah, no, I
Well, it's
agree.
not just a board member. I think more people go to those meetings that are board members, right? The board members, like 6 board members, and once you take out the COA liaison, yourself, Joan, I think you're still a couple extra people. I never knew for sure. But what I'm saying is I really distinguish those meetings, people who come to that, different from the people who come, others who come to and use the center. And the people who use the center, I mean, those people who come to those meetings, I think all, without exception, use the center. So I think they're good people because they're familiar with how the center operates or what's going on there, but they also are in on the conversation on running things, and they hear your reports every month too. So,
Okay.
And if you need another board member, I would nominate Sylvia. She may not like that, but
Did I ask for volunteers first, Josie? or-
yep.
Is that an official nomination if we have 2 board members? Was that a motion, Josie?
Well, it was certainly a suggestion. I would want to know what Sylvia thinks about that, but she's, I'm sure I've just sprung it on her. There was no prior discussion, but I just think Sylvia would be a good person.
Thank you. Okay.
How do you feel, Sylvia?
It's short term. Because
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the search is quick, but we've learned from other searches that it's not always so fast. So
I know, but it's
Sylvia, not longer than 3 years.
So I remember mentioning last time I had a conversation with Janet that I'm having a really hard time learning how to be irresponsible.
I can teach you.
I think we're going to have a class in that, Sylvia. We're starting.
I'll lead it.
I know that sometimes they'll put an interim in. In fact, I think before I was hired, there was an interim. So, we may have to come to that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll see where we're at. But the faster we get started now, I mean, it's the middle of March, and I'm not going to wait for the budget to be approved. We'll just go full steam ahead and see who we come up with, right? So,
good idea.
And hopefully we can get them to fit into the budget or the budget to fit into them. So, okay.
So what happened on I think, was it Joan who had talked about having someone from COA, from MCOA involved?
Just that Kathy Bowler was reached out to see if other places, what she recommended for tools for a search.
Yeah. So I sent her an email. I sent Kathy, who is one of the, I don't have her title, but that to see if I could try to answer your question, Jonathan, to ask her if she's seen best practices or recommendations. So she got back to me. She was out yesterday. So she got back to me just a little while ago, probably while I was just starting this, and not a lot of specifics, but definitely her biggest thing was to get a couple board members on it. So yes.
Is there any reason not to have someone from outside of Southampton that is familiar with COA? Someone, and this is what I was getting at, from MCOA, Highland Valley from another, a director or assistant director of another senior center. Not all of those, but the idea is someone who is familiar and has worked with directors outside of Southampton.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thought that I know watching the select board meeting last night, they're bringing in a retired fire chief from somewhere else to be on this search committee. So, I mean, that's a good thought. I'll bounce it off of Ed and Chris and see what they think, and then see if we can find somebody that would have the time to do it. So if we do that, so like an outside group, so that's, I mean, I think another director or an MCOA person is probably maybe more applicable than Highland Valley because they have a different kind of agenda than the senior centers themselves. Somebody either from finance or accounting, a member of the select board, the town administrator, 2 members of the board, a member from the Active Friends board, and potentially a former employee. So, I mean, that person may be one and the same. So, we can see how that flies, but that's exactly what I needed to accomplish today. So
that's about 7 people.
Seven or 8. So we would probably wouldn't have an even number. So we'll take it from there. But if Ed's not a voting member, then we could actually have 7. But he may, because he's an ex officio for the fire chief search. So I'll try to meet with them again to kind of share our ideas and get this moving, because we have to create a charge, and I don't know what else we need to do. So
Probably a job description.
yeah, we have a job description, right?
Well, we have one.
We do
Yes.
have one that the one Jim and I worked on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, that's a different one.
There's
Never
a
mind.
different
I
for the
think-
director. There is a job description for the director. I don't know if it's been
Probably the
updated.
3 of us probably worked on it, Josie, when we were on the PPPB
Yeah,
with Mr. Jacobs. So, okay, great. Thank you. That's all good input. I appreciate it. Okay. And member recruitment, just to remember, speak to your friends. If somebody comes up that you think would be a great asset to the board, invite them to come in, come to next month's meeting or see what we're all about in April. Our annual meeting is always the first Wednesday in May. So that's the terms go to the end of June, but we have our elections and we have, appointment board recommendations at that point in time too. So then they can get to the select board in time for the end of June. So if you know of anybody that's interested, please encourage them to pull a volunteer application, put a nice cover letter in like you saw from Cynthia, and give us, we're always looking for new, fresh ideas. So
When is the extended Zoom meetings to? Do you know?
I haven't, it was originally April, but I'm not sure that it hasn't been extended again. So I'd have to confirm that. I think when we had a new governor, I'm not sure what the decision is, so I can check with Ed on that. Okay. All right. Friends of the Council on Aging. So there's 2 meetings, February and March. Jonathan, you're doing February and Susan's doing March. Is that what
Yeah, I just attended yesterday.
right. Yep.
They're
So do you want to do, Jonathan, let him do February 1st, Jonathan, and then we'll.
Yeah, so since February came before March, but and Susan will update it. Susan, are you going to report on the treasury balance?
Yeah, since let's see.
Okay. Well, no,
Susan.
when you
Yep.
do the report, I just don't want to go ahead and do something that's outdated if you're
Yep.
modifying it.
Well, you know what? It would be useful actually if I'll know what I should report every month following you. You know what I mean? I'm not sure how much you want to hear.
Okay, good.
You
So
know what to hear every month.
I'll do this, and then I will leave out of the anything that no longer applies, I'll leave out of the minutes.
Okay.
And you can watch the tape, the recording, in order to get the full story. So the balance for the Friends and going into February was just under 14. Their treasury was just under $14,600. They did elect a president for a 3-year term, and that's Michael Neal, who had been the president. As of February, they still did not have a vice president.
Is it chair and vice chair? I just want to clarify that.
I don't know, but I will. I'll take a look at their minutes and see how they reported. It's probably. Do you know offhand, Susan?
I don't.
Okay, but it doesn't matter. I'll check it and put the right one in the minutes. But I think you're probably right, Joan. And Andrea Sullivan, as Janet mentioned, had died. She had been president for a while, and then the last year she had been vice president. And when she had moved to Sunderland from Southampton a month or two ago, she had vacated the position of vice president. There was continuing discussion on some safety clothing for seniors, about maybe the Friends or the COA could buy some for seniors for when they're walking, a reflective vest, lights, reflective tape. That was all being researched as of February. And then there was beginning discussion on maybe having a membership and fundraising committees, and possibly put some of the directors, a couple of the directors at large for the Friends and as chairs of those committees. And that was February.
Okay, perfect. All right. So yesterday's meeting, they had an opening balance of 14.5. So a little more money came in. They did agree to buy a case of their emergency LED flashers that you can put on your jackets. So they're spending $75 on that. They did form a fundraising committee for the new senior center, and they've got their first meeting at 10:30 on March 21st. But it was a very good meeting. There's some new members, and they seem very excited about the new senior center and to really and this idea of really starting some serious fundraising. They're also talking about reinstituting the lunches that they used to do before the pandemic.
And that's been 3 years, believe it or not.
3 years.
I can't
Okay.
believe it.
All right. So I think, and there's a possibility of starting that May 5th, Joan, right?
Some special time of year, isn't it? May 5th, Sylvia?
Yes.
Cinco de Mayo, and they were talking
de
about,
Mayo.
yes, they were talking about, I don't say it the way you say it, Sylvia, but with my I have no twang, but.
You can help us plan the menu. We need help with the menu.
Yeah, they're talking about maybe reaching out to La Vera Cruzano or something. So I know we'll chat with them. Okay, Sylvia, see what we can do to help. And that's,
Sure.
and maybe, I'm just wondering, Joan, if I don't mean to bump in, but sorry, Susan, just a quick thought before it's gone.
An aside.
Instead of having maybe music, maybe we could have a speaker of some sort that would be very informative or knowledgeable, and kind of
Absolutely.
have a good attraction there. Just a thought, but anyway.
Or have our vendor people who have what's new at the senior center come for lunch and find out what's new at the senior center.
Yeah, I don't know if there's enough room for everybody. I mean, for the tables and the information, but yeah, that did cross my mind too. So,
Well, I just reached out today. I don't know if you read the Prime, but there is a article on good grief. And so I was reminded of a contact I have, and we're having her come in May, but probably, I don't think we want to talk about grief at one of our luncheons. It's an important topic, but
yeah, maybe not the first luncheon back, but I mean, maybe Sylvia can come up with some ideas that are, somebody that can talk about Cinco de Mayo but we'll talk later, but just a thought. I don't know.
I agree.
Sorry, Susan.
No, that's fine. All right. So then every month, what you want from somebody who's attending the Friends meeting is you want to know, just the basics, how much money they're reporting. I'm not sure how detailed.
I think the initiatives like the luncheon and those kind of things are great because people might watch this meeting that don't go to the Friends meeting. So it just helps to promote, because whatever they do benefits the senior center. So
the rule, what I didn't do is probably report on at our meetings is probably more important. I don't think you want to report on anything that's really Jones province, unless somehow you think it's important to get into. But for the most part, I just don't go there. And when I go to the Friends meetings, I don't talk about anything the COA is doing that's really outside of what Joan's doing. And you can talk to Joan to get a better idea as to whether that's a good rule or she'd like to do it differently. So that's the main thing. So I end up with about 3 items maybe each time. So if they're doing fundraising, that's definitely something you want to get into. Anything that's fundraising, any major purchases they make for the COA, such as what you mentioned on the LED flashers.
Yep.
What they do each year, for the whatever it's called, the funding, my COA.
My senior center, they pay for that.
Right. And then they pay for the mailing. So like when they do that, just mention that, or they redo they renew the permit, the mailing permit, the bulk mailing nonprofit permit and they use that for center mailing. So things like that, things that have to do with their officer structure. And then there's probably stuff that doesn't, fall into those categories every now and then. If you have a question, let me know, but I think it's pretty straightforward. You just work it out for yourself with something that you think is workable and honors, what COA wants to hear, what the Friends want to hear, and honors the boundaries with, the director.
Okay.
Joan or her successor.
So, I mean, Susan, since you're a representative from the COA board, if you have any questions, let me know. But if there's something we're particularly focused on, to make sure that we share that with the Friends.
Okay,
as well. Sylvia, did you have a question?
I just saw the calendar. Cinco de Mayo is on Friday, falls on Friday.
Their luncheons were always on Friday, because then we have the parking lot and we have so it is on a Friday.
Perfect.
I didn't want to forget, one of the things we talked about was our golf outing. I don't know if you want to share that, Susan, or did you want
go ahead and do that one? Yeah, I'm sorry to miss that part, but you know more about golf than I do. So
what happened was in February, we spoke about doing some kind of a golf tournament. And it was brought to our attention that the Lions Club is having theirs the Saturday that we proposed, the Saturday before. So I think it's June 3rd, and it's a small community. This is something they've done for over 20 years. We didn't want to compete with their sponsorship, etc. So we still thought, well, it's a good opportunity to use another venue in town to, have a 9-hole outing. We won't call it a tournament, but an outing, maybe still do some raffles and some cart signing, could be some fundraising. But so we decided, and with Ray suggested, since it was my swan song, that we should continue with it. and friends agreed to continue with it. So we'll be on Friday the 9th, 9 to noon. It's a 9-hole. It's 20, instead of $45, it's $28 per golfer. So we'd have to figure out the details of what we would charge. Best ball. Kate's a golfer, her husband's a golfer. So, and I've done at least 20 golf tournaments. Well, anyway, it's something that we're going to have on the 9th. And so we will have to figure out the details and probably have more information in April.
I still encourage you to do like a best ball. So people that
Oh, yes.
that great golfers
Moves
can,
it along.
yeah, can participate and not feel intimidated, so that's always, I've been on golf courses I had no right being on. So comes with being a corporate person, I guess.
So the golf tournament, Joan, would be, I know that you've been organizing, but sponsored by the COA.
Friends of the COA, because they have the funds, and any funds would go to them, any extra funds, raffles or cards or sponsorships. And it would be a golf outing. We're kind of steer away from tournament, call it an outing. And it would be, more for community. We'll talk about the possibility of a future senior center and what, those kind of things, that it gets different people out in the community and keeps us people in the limelight or in the forefront of fundraising. The fundraising committee, I think, is going to have a list of 100 ways to raise money, but this is only one. And they said it should be in September, so we don't conflict with the Lions. So this year will not be in September. I will not be here. I did say I would come back for 2024 for September to help with the golf tournament. So hopefully I'll be around.
Okay. So great. Yeah, I think that sounds very interesting, but we've got to start promoting it already, right? So even in the April newsletter, I think saying things like save the date or best ball or anything. And I would ask you also to include looking forward to May for pickleball coming back or something. So just before I forget, I have to say these things before I forget. Okay. I did send out an email before that from Lucy about everybody taking the ethics training. Did we lose that already and I need to resend it or what? It was a few weeks ago, probably close to our last meeting, but just after the last meeting. So, the online ethics training that every board member, board committee, commission person has to take. So if you can't find that, let me know and I'll find it and get it out to you again, or I'll just send it out again if that works. Okay. All right. Anything else that can't wait till the next meeting? No. So our next, speaking of the next meeting, April 5th, looks like the date. At 4:00.
So is the presentation going to be streamed next Tuesday? Or is the select board meeting streamed?
Yes, it's live.
It's live.
And recorded. Yep.
So we may not be on till 7, but just be aware.
I'm usually there, not there, but home anyway, but I'll be there, Joan, and we'll talk together beforehand, right? Okay. All right. Do we have a motion? So again, thanks, Cynthia, for coming. Caitlin, if you want to send me any questions or anything, you have my email, right? I know you're muted. Oh, no, you're not.
Mm-hmm.
So I know how to reach you, and we'll see. I'm happy to answer any questions about other committees and stuff in town as well. So, but you're new to Southampton?
Yeah, my husband and I moved here last summer. Yeah, we're looking for opportunities to volunteer and, meet people in the area, and happy to help wherever we can.
Well, there's select board openings, That would be a starting place. For sure. So, well, welcome to Southampton as well. All right. Thank you for joining us today. All right. Motion to adjourn, please.
So move.
Second.
Aye.
Susan. Okay. Quick roll call. This is the downside of Zoom. Sylvia.
Yep.
Susan.
Yes.
Josie.
Oh, she left.
Oh, I didn't see her. Okay. Missed. Oh, there she goes. Gotta go. Jonathan
Yes.
and Janet. Thank God we had a quorum to adjourn. That would have been.
Or we'd be on here all night.
All right, everybody. Have a good one. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you for
Welcome,
your time
Janet.
tonight.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Adios.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.